Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Jason.
And this is Ghosts and Bears, the only podcast where we bring you the actual ghost stories
With the actual history.
in the actual place. And on this episode of Ghosts and Bears, we're off to the very haunted St. Anne's Nunnery and Academy, where we will be joined by Mother Superior, the ghost of a priest, and other exciting events. Coming up next on Ghosts and Bears. Well, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Jason.
And we are back with yet another exciting and fun-filled episode of Ghosts and Bears. And we are off to a nunnery this week.
That's right, St. Anne's.
St. Anne's, exactly.
Tons of fun.
We have had quite the time in the 2 weeks since we spoke with you last.
Yeah.
We have a new member of the family.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago today. This evening.
Yes, oh my goodness.
Yeah, his name is Moby.
And we named him that because he's 10 years old. So there's a high chance he'd be a little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's fabulous.
He's actually awesome. I cannot say enough good things about Elder Dog. There's Elder Dog Canada, and specifically we worked with Elder Dog Victoria, and they have a two-prong approach. They help older people who have dogs who can no longer walk them. They send volunteers to your home to walk your dog. And the other thing they do is they find older dogs homes.
Yeah.
And Moby comes to us after going through two owners who sadly passed away. So either he has really bad luck or we have a tiny white killer on our hands.
Well, I hope not, but he certainly is the sweetest little guy.
He is so sweet. He is so smart. He's not yappy. He's intelligent. He enjoys napping. So obviously he fits right in.
Yes, I like the napping. I need a nap.
I need a nap. We had a busy weekend. This weekend we went to a wedding. Congratulations, Matt and Melissa.
Yeah, congrats, Matt and Melissa. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're really thrilled for them. And in fact, tonight, we're recording this on the Monday night. We're just at a barbecue
with them.
Rounding off the festivities. So that was fun. I did the music, which meant I pushed play on an iPhone.
Oh, yes.
And Jason, you had a more substantial...
Oh, I did the videography. So
yeah,
I was the more motion camera. I had to move about, but I called in a friend, our friend Chris, who helps out with the video. Thank you so much.
Chris.
Oh my goodness,
you're amazing.
He did the stationary video with the shotgun mics, so I assume that's going to come out very well. I'm looking forward to seeing how they blend together.
Yeah, I know it was good. And it was also good because I have known Matt since 2000. That's when I met Matt.
Wow.
Yeah. And our kids kind of grew up together, and it's so great to see his daughter, and she's living on Salt Spring Island and taking her Undertaker classes, and
that's really cool.
Yeah. And Dalen, who's now a computer whiz. Like, it's so cool to see these people who you met when they were tiny people. And now they're fully formed, functioning people living on their own. Oh,
doing the thing,
insane.
The adulting thing.
Adulting thing. It's just insane, though. And nothing makes me feel older.
Now they're all paying taxes. They've joined the tax paying group.
Congratulations.
The age of the majority. That's the bonus. You can get credit cards and you can pay taxes and interest. You know,
lucky. Yay, you.
Pay lots of interest.
Yay, you.
Taxes, interest, and credit cards.
That's what life's all about. And then my friend Karen moved in. Our friend Karen.
Yeah, Karen from Calgary.
Karen and I have been friends since grade 8. We survived Christian school together.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
We're survivors. And Karen has now moved in with us and starting a whole new life here in Victoria after living her whole life in Calgary. So Congratulations, Karen. So brave.
It's pretty exciting.
So we got Karen and the dog around about the same time.
Yeah, it was a 2-for-1.
It was a 2-for-1.
2-for-1 move-in.
Except the dog came with his own bed. That was...
Yeah. The dog is good. It's good, and Karen's great.
Karen's good. Everything's good. Life is good. We got scooters for the summer.
Yeah, we did.
We're excited about that.
But I'm going to trade mine up already.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you.
In and out.
I can't believe you.
I have owned it for a week, but I want an upgrade already.
Well, you better sell the other one fast.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go right away. They're beautiful. Scooters are fun.
Scooters are so fun. And especially when you live in a place like Victoria where we have highways, but we have plenty of alternatives to the highway, and you can still literally get everywhere you want to go on the South Island.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky. We really are lucky, and we understand how lucky we are. We can just be like, oh, it's after dinner. What do you want to do? Do you want to go for a scooter ride along the ocean? Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Want to grab some homemade ice cream? Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. Like, it doesn't get much better.
As we're scooting around and saving money on fuel.
That's right. And I'm going to buy one of those weird dog backpacks, and we'll bring Moby with us on the scooter, and he can like wear little goggles. And
oh, geez.
Evan would approve.
Yeah, no.
Evan with all the dog outfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get him a cape.
Yeah. And we'll put Evan's name on it like he's the designer.
Evan.
The Evan Pearl Dog Clothing Designs.
EP
Designs.
EP Designs. For your pooch.
EPP. So yeah, the wedding was good. It was a really fun weekend. Plus, it was a long weekend here because we have Canada Day on July the 1st.
Yeah.
And I know all our American friends recently celebrated July 4th when they have that big party about their misunderstanding with the kind of benevolent British government.
That's right. Happy Independence Day.
No. Happy Unfortunate Skirmish Day is what that is.
Oh, no. It's Independence Day. But either way.
Congratulations, everyone, for making it to another July 4th. So that's awesome. And,
yeah, good old July 4th.
And July 1st. Yeah. So we had our Canada Day. And that's when we found out our dog really doesn't care about fireworks. Doesn't care.
No, he was not fazed.
Not bothered. Nothing.
He's just happy to be laying around.
He sleeps on the end of the bed already. He's in the room with us because he was scratching at the door. So he's now asleep on his little sleeping pad. Yeah. If you follow us on social media, I guarantee you will see pictures of Moby, and
he's fine.
He's very sweet.
He has quite the attitude at times.
Well, he reminds me actually of my dog from when I was a kid. Except he's more stubborn.
Peanuts or something?
Yeah, her name was Peanuts. Yeah.
Peanuts.
Yeah, that's not a good name to yell around the neighborhood, I learned as a child. Yeah, people think it's not good. Anyway, Moby did show a bit of his attitude with me. Remember the morning with the food?
Oh, yes, the food.
I had
a bit of a temper tantrum.
He had a bit of a temper tantrum, and I had plopped a little scoop of soft food, some kind of dog food, on top of his dry food. And I'd done that twice. And I know he didn't get that from the home he was in. And the morning rolled around, and I thought, well, I'll just give him his dry food. And I put the food in, and I put it on the floor, and he walked over to it, and he sniffed it. And then he looked at me, and then he hit the side of the bowl with his paw, like gave it a good smack. And I was like, what is going on? And then he looked back at the food, looked at me, smacked the bowl again.
Oh my goodness.
And then Jason came in and said, what's going on? And then it started to dawn on me, and I said, I think we're having a standoff right now. I think that's what's happening.
Part of the problem is the night before I gave him wet food under the dry food.
So now he was very much convinced that we had somehow forgotten this. He hit the bowl 2 more times with his paw, and then he let out a huff. And he slammed his paw on the edge of the bowl, and it flipped about a quarter of the food out. And this is a dog who never leaves a scrap of food in his bowl. Right. And he left that spilled food on the floor, ate the rest of it, and walked off in a huff. And he wouldn't eat the food on the floor until someone else put it back in his bowl.
Gosh,
he was making a point. So when we decided to name him Moby, I think maybe we were kind of bang on. Because but he is nothing but sweet, honestly.
He is.
And really having an older dog is nice. He's 10 years.
He traveled to the Okanagan wonderfully.
Yeah, we took him to a Soyuz. Turns out when we stayed in the hotel, it was a double bed, and Jason and I are already double people. So it was a bit tight, but no, he was still sleeping on the bed, and he found his little corner and he didn't move. So
he's so funny.
It was pretty great. He's a pretty special little guy, and we feel really lucky to have him. He is 10 years old. That's part of the elder dog thing. And with the dog calculator, I believe he's 59 in human years. But you know what? You'd never know it. He gets super happy about things, and he's excited, and
he loves his walks.
He loves walks.
He loves car rides.
Loves snacks. Yeah, he's pretty much our dog.
He's looking at us as we're talking.
He knows we're talking about him.
He's like, yes.
We're making a point of keeping the car keys and credit cards away from him because I'm not entirely convinced he wouldn't be able to figure out how to use them.
Yeah.
So as long as we keep him away from an open internet connection, we should be okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we're all right. So tonight, we are speaking of St. Anne's Academy, which is a pretty major deal here in Victoria. It takes up quite a large plot of real estate over by Beacon Hill Park, and that does come into play later on in our story. The Sisters of St. Anne were here because they had an order in Quebec, and Victoria was a 300-person fur trading fort. That's what was here. And one of the Roman Catholic clergy had sent a letter to the Sisters of St. Anne and said, you should come here. There's no schools. There's no churches. There's no hospital. We need your help. We need you to come and basically minister to the good people of Victoria. So bless those sisters' hearts. They jumped on a ship and they took the long way round. They went down the Atlantic through across, the Panama Canal wasn't there then. This was in the 1800s, but they went around the Horn and they came up the other side. So it was quite a long journey.
It was a big journey.
And to their surprise, when they got here, it was not the sleepy fur trading fort of 300 people that they found. No. They got here to discover that the gold rush had happened in 1858. And they got off the boat thinking they were going to be providing hospital and school services to 300 people. It was 30,000 people. But these tough women were undaunted. They were brave. They were true. And they just got to work. They set up a schoolhouse and started putting the kids through it. And in the meantime, they basically wrote back to Montreal and into Quebec and said, help, we need more money. We need more people, and we need to build. And so they immediately were sent out everything they could have asked for. They built the large St. Anne's Academy. Jason's going to read a bit of the history on that for us. And they not only set up a school for the nuns, for the children, but they also set up a school for the nuns so that they could get more nuns because, of course, they needed more. And it was a pretty interesting thing. So Jason is going to read off of the Government of Canada page about the Academy, as it's called, the St. Anne's Academy, also known as the St. Anne's Nunnery. So he's going to read that for us.
So, the St. Anne's Academy, National Historic Site of Canada, is comprised of a monumental brick-clad building and former gardens which occupy approximately 6.25 acres of land within Victoria's original urban core.
Which is pretty intense.
That's big.
That is a huge amount of land. And they have it, and they still have it, I might add. Yeah.
The garden contains a formal processional allée created with tree rows and hedges, an orchard containing approximately 100 original fruit trees, a novitiate garden, a formerly landscaped area containing several historic trees, structural remnants, formal gardens, hedges, historic pathways and walkways, and additional plantings established by the Sisters of St. Anne around the Academy building and along sections of the site perimeter and a perimeter wall and gates. The designation refers to the building in its landscape.
They also would bury the nuns on that property. Yeah, they had some graves that they placed there. There wasn't really a formal burial ground when they came out, and so they just sort of took care of their own. Heritage value, what's going on with that?
Well, St. Anne's Academy was designated a National Historic Site of Canada because of its role in the cultural and educational life of Western Canada for over a century and because of its landmark status, due to its scale and the surrounding open space, formerly the gardens, in the community. Arriving in Victoria in 1858, the Quebec-based Sisters of St. Anne responded to the educational and nursing needs on the West Coast by opening a succession of convents, hospitals, and mission schools throughout British Columbia, Yukon, and Alaska. Their success created a demand for larger accommodations in Victoria, which was met by construction of the first section of the present building in 1871, then by further additions in 86 and 1910. From 1871 until its closing in 73, St. Anne's retained its stature as an important educational institute and continues to symbolize the sisters' contribution to education and social service in Western Canada. So that's 102 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. The distinctive architecture of St. Anne's Academy reflects the strong influence of French-Canadian religious orders during a formative period in the history of British Columbia. It was the largest building in the province in 1871 and remained the tallest masonry building in Victoria for most of its history, while the 1871 to 86 and 1910 sections of the building embody the neo-Baroque characteristics of 19th century Quebec convent design. The chapel is a unique transplantation of a traditional 17th and 18th century Quebec ecclesiastic design tradition to the West Coast. Built as the original Roman Catholic cathedral in Victoria in 1858 by Brother Charles Michaud, the original timber frame building was moved to its current site and incorporated into the Academy complex in 86.
I didn't know that in 1886. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The heritage value of the chapel resides in its well-preserved interior massing and design features.
And you are able to go and take a tour of the chapel.
That's right.
Yeah, that's something you can do. They use the building now as an office building for provincial government, but you can go in the chapel and you can even rent it for things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The landmark qualities and monumental scale of the Academy were enhanced by its positioning on the property and by landscaping of a formal driveway, rows of trees, hedges, formal gardens, orchard, and perimeter walls. These elements impart an enclosed quality to the site, producing a tranquil setting that symbolized the religious and institutional character of the Academy and communicated its separateness from the city beyond. The coherent treatment of building and landscape reflects over 100 years of continuous ownership and stewardship by the Sisters of St. Anne.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a really key phrase there, that the separateness, and that definitely comes up in the ghost stories where the sisters still feel very much like the separateness needs to continue.
I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is a stunningly beautiful building, and it's just down there on Humboldt Street. You can go in the grounds anytime you want. In terms of getting in there to check the place out, you would need to be a little bit closer. But the other place that we're going to talk about, we sort of touch on, is St. Joseph's Hospital. St. Joseph's was built, again, by the Sisters of St. Anne, built in 1876, and very similar in look to the Academy. Interestingly enough, that old hospital, it's now apartments.
Yeah, that's true.
And I have heard stories from people who live in those apartments. The top floor, there was a bunch, that's where they stuck all the old equipment, and people used to complain about wheelchairs wheeling themselves towards you out of the darkness and things like that. But now, yeah, it is actually an apartment building, but it is still it's still on the registry. It's a 4 1/2 story plus basement stone neoclassical Edwardian structure. And like I said, it's directly across the street from St. Anne's Academy. Mm-hmm. Because it was a hospital, it didn't have that same fence around it. It didn't have that same, it was kind of right there. But it was there because that's what the sisters came to do, was not just do the education, but also the healthcare. And it went up in 1876. And just like St. Anne's, they put on additions in 1888, 1897, and 1908. It was pretty important. It really was the start of healthcare in the region, along with the St. Anne's Academy being the start of education in the region. The province, of course, took both those over, but they were really the ones who did it. Founded in Quebec in 1848, the Sisters of St. Anne represent the strong presence of French-Canadian missionaries in British Columbia's formative history. So they weren't that old of an order when they got here, and that may have been why they were so eager to get out here and start working, because they were still fresh and new and full of adventure. They also did as we mentioned, the school, a convent, a novitiate program where they could recruit more nuns, and nursing services to better serve the educational, medical, and spiritual needs of the population of Victoria. For a while, it was seniors housing. Many of these old, really beautiful buildings end up as seniors housing for a while, and then they usually end up becoming some sort of thing for the government. As I said, now it's an apartment building. So if you live in the St. Joseph's apartment building, boy, would we like to hear from you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear these stories.
So please, or someone who lives there, please mention this to them. We would love to hear about it. Interestingly enough, we've talked about in the past about Thomas Hooper being the haunted architect. Well, guess who did the 1908 edition? That's Thomas Hooper was one of the architects. So that's kind of interesting for us. We are going to jump into the stories. Now, we have a very special side of this because I was lucky enough to come across my friend Brynne.
Yeah.
Our friend Brynne.
Hi, Brynne.
Hi, Brynne.
Thank you.
Brynne is an amazing Ghost Walk guide. Brynne was the person who trained me to be a Ghost Walk guide. I gushed a little more about her in the intro to the story, but she really is one of the smartest people I know. She's a natural-born storyteller.
Yeah.
She's so good at what she does.
She's so fun.
So I made a deal with her that I would buy her a Cinnaholic cinnamon bun if she would tell me some stories.
That's news to me.
For the pot, well, they were closed, so it didn't work out. But no, she sat down and told me some stories. So we've got 3 stories, but we're going to break them up into different episodes because they're for 3 different places. So tonight, all you're getting is St. Anne's Academy with a touch on of St. Joseph's. So I hope you enjoy the stories, and we will be back right after this, and we will jump into our closing time after. But in the meantime, enjoy the stories of St. Anne. All right, well, welcome to Story Time. As promised, pretty big deal right now. We are with Brynne Croy, who is a fellow ghostly walker. Brynne is also the wonderful human who trained me, also one of my best friends. And realistically, if it wasn't for Brynne, well, you probably wouldn't be hearing my voice at all, because she really was there to kind of kick the whole thing off on my weird and wonderful trajectory. So thank you, Brynne.
Glad to be here.
Brynne is going to share with us today the story of St. Anne's Academy, which is amazing. We've covered the history, so you know how and why and all those good things, and that the building is still there. You can visit it yourself if you come to Victoria. But Brynne has sort of the ghost story side of things, and she is going to share that with us now. So please go ahead.
So I used to be a full-time tour guide when I was, before the times that we are in now. And I had a really interesting experience while riding people around on bikes. A nice family was riding behind me, mom and 2 daughters. And as we rolled over the hill through Beacon Hill Park and then down into the area around St. Anne's Academy, she stopped me and said, "Hang on a second, this building, do you know anything about them?" And I didn't tell her what I did for a night job at that point. I was just her bike tour guide. And she said, "'Cause something happened in there." Well, I didn't reveal what I do for my night job, but I inquired what was the nature of the experience. She said, "We were going through the interpretive center and we made it up to the 4th floor. And we didn't see any signs that said we couldn't be in that space, but the area felt oppressive. It was like there was some hands on our shoulders, a guiding edge on our back, just wanted us to vacate hastily, not urgently, not viciously, just please go away, move on. And we did, and the feelings dissipated, but she turned to me then and said, do you know anything about that?
Why, yes, you do.
Exactly. So that narrative follows pretty much what the story that I had always told back from the times that St. Anne's Academy is slated for closure. An interested group of citizens was making sure that the heritage buildings didn't come to any harm as they were in bureaucratic limbo. And a man was doing a nightly round of explorations. Had the keys to the place, came through with a flashlight, checks the kitchen, the main floors, and the upstairs, but always did it alone because of the things that happened around there. Yeah, but due to the nature of his work and the fact that he had a teenage son, the teenage son eventually pestered his father until he could come in with Dad and check out the haunted building. When Dad finally relented, because the rounds of security involved not just St. Anne's Academy, but also St. Joseph's Hospital with the ominous X-wing.
Which is now an apartment building, I would like to add.
It delights me to no end that there are people who have to deal with these persistently. I mean, it's possible to overlay the anywho. So the security guard had come home night after night with stories of strange happenings, and the teenage son eventually said, "Can I go, Dad? Can I go, Dad?" And Dad goes in there, hands the kid the keys, and said, "Well, if you need something, scream. I won't hear you because I'm across the street and sound doesn't carry that far, but it might make you feel better." I'm joking, of course, but he was given specific instructions. The kid, don't go up in the 4th floor. It's not worth checking. Nothing ever makes it up there. And leave the kitchen to me. I'll check that one when I come around. But otherwise, feel free to explore. Dad disappears and the kid goes upstairs, of course, immediately heading up to the 4th floor. And as he arrives past the 3rd floor, there's a sort of change to the air. There's a milkiness, a cloudiness in the area. And moving through the 3rd floor stairs is a little bit more challenging than not. Heading up to the 4th floor is actually impossible. As much as he wants to explore, there's just kind of an unseen black energy field thing that is impenetrable. So the kid kind of gives up and goes to the kitchen, which he was also told not to.
Of course, don't go there. So where's he going to go first?
As he arrives close to the kitchen, he hears the reason that he was told not to. There are people in the kitchen. He can hear the clatter of pots and pans and the sounds of cooking, and he gets excited and his pace quickens. He makes it to the double swinging doors. His hand goes on the door and the sounds stop immediately. As he pushes open the door, he looks in the very empty room. No pots and pans, no cooking things, no people. Just a circle of his dad's footsteps where he's clearly gone in, looked around, and said, "Yeah, nothing."
Wow.
Yeah. So Dad reunited with the kid that night. They sorted things out. The building didn't get burned down by hooligans, vandals, and whatnot. It stands today and is used for the curious things that it's used for these days. But that 4th floor still remains impenetrable. The reason behind that is that it is the sacred space of the nuns.
Right.
For the people who have been studying at the nunnery, that was the realm that only the nuns occupied. It's the only place where they're able to shed their veils and be alone. It's not a place for priests. It's not a place for the novitiates, the trainees who were on the 3rd floor. They wear white habits to indicate that they haven't moved along with that, and that's the reason for the creamy white energy that doesn't get felt as much on the 3rd floor these days, but was nonetheless present back in the tumultuous, unsure times. But up in the 4th floor, it wasn't a place that teenage boys should go, and evidently the energy is strong enough to keep an exploring family of 3 out of there as well, despite being young, possibly eligible females who might want to join in the flock.
Now, you mentioned earlier that there was some danger to this place getting torn down kind of in the 80s, and wasn't there sort of a visual representation of perhaps the energy's concern one morning?
There's certainly been other stories from that time when the security rounds were going through, and I've been led to believe that this is one of those photographic evidence kind of situations. One of the security guards came through, and at the front door there were 7 shadowy forms just standing right at the front door, gazing off in a specific area. It was striking enough that the security guard went and got his film camera to, of course, date the story just a little bit. And when it was developed some days later, there was unmistakable forms of these shadowy, well, nuns. I mean, if you were to guess what they were and where they came from, they were staring off in the direction that obelisks now stand, but they weren't there at the time. Again, is my understanding, the obelisks, or no, it's the Blessed Virgin Mary wasn't there at the time, but there's been. It was uncertain what would happen to the energies of the people who had been laid to rest, who had been honored in this area. They're also staring off generally towards the woods and the sundial. There's been all kinds of other sightings in those areas as well. St. Anne's has a deeply rooted energy. I'm not surprised we saw shadowy forms. I'm always surprised to hear about photographic evidence. But it seems that the sightings of those things have calmed down since the Virgin Mary was placed to watch over the space, but maybe stay out of the woods after dark.
I think that's generally a good plan, like no matter where you are. The other thing I remember hearing about is now that it is partially an office building as well as a historical site, new office workers tend to run into certain sounds that they perhaps weren't expecting.
Yeah. There's an ever-changing array of government offices that roll through Victoria, and heritage buildings are perfect for that kind of retrofit. But sometimes you end up with this sort of cushy placement with a bit of a catch. St. Anne's Academy, by all outward appearances, is a plush place. The orchard, the aforementioned woods, dappled shade, or just a grassy knoll. There's a functional garden off on the backside as well, and the sounds of laughing children in the backyard. It's kind of a comfort as you work through your day. But the laughing children end up being, a bit of a sticking point. Sometimes the new employees will come bounding into the lunch office and say, "Oh, it's so nice to hear those sounds." And the old timers say, "You haven't looked out the window, have you?" The new folks come in with a scowl the next day as they say, "Why did you have to tell me about the children?" I said, "What'd you see when you looked out the window, huh?" Well, there were no children out there. This is just a vestige of the time when St. Anne's Academy was a school, a functioning school taught by the nuns, but still with the giggling little children things around. And absolutely, the sound of laughing children is heartwarming. It's fulfilling, but when they're not actually there, it's soul-altering instead, and it's kind of a little more chilling. Definitely less settling.
It's an interesting place, and I know there's a chapel there you can go into as part of a tour. I don't know if they've reopened it yet because of COVID, but Andrea, who's been on the show before from Unearthing Shadows Paranormal, she was there. I'm trying to get this right, but she was there for some sort of investigation, and one of her team got locked in the old organ room for a time and described a very severe Mother Superior kind of figure, and also a priest who seemed quite angry that they were there. So I wonder if they're still kind of thinking this is a church or this is sacred and what are you people doing here? And but yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting little twist on the old chapel that they're still kicking around, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that the priest may well be exercising some kind of influence in that space. It was a common tale among the guides in my early years that the bell would ring at the wrong time. So we'd be leading tours through the gardens in the backyard. We could sit in this lovely little gazebo and we'd be finishing the tours in silence and this beautiful, fragrant, elegant space. And the bell would toll. It only rings after weddings and after Sunday services.
Oh, so not even like a regular time thing. It's specifically for specific purposes.
It would seem that it was prompted occasionally by randomness or our presence. I mean, how often does it do it randomly if nobody's there to witness it? Does it really make a sound? But we were there to witness it often enough. I mean, the tours are fairly regular and we do the guides talk. So it became, I cannot regular, but not never.
Wow, that is really cool. Thank you for that. I think St. Anne's is one of the most fascinating places. The fact that it survived this long is pretty cool, especially in a city where we develop anything. And if you get to Victoria, you should definitely check it out.
Oh, it's totally worth it. Even the grounds alone, if you never make it inside, are worth exploring. It is a magical little gem of solitude.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brynne.
My pleasure.
And welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Isn't that fun?
Oh my gosh. I think that story about the guy going down to the kitchen, the teenage boy going into the kitchen and expecting to find people working down there. I mean, his father said, don't go to the fourth floor and don't go in the kitchen. So of course he goes to those two places first. But I think because he was a teenage boy, he was actually probably hoping he could get a snack.
Yeah, that's true.
What was your favorite part?
Oh, definitely the fourth floor.
Yes.
It's interesting how a presence seems to prevent you from wanting to enter that.
Well, I get it. I mean, that really was the sacred space for those nuns. It's where they could take off their habits and just be themselves and be actual human beings because, of course, they were trained that they weren't. They were the brides of Christ. And so up on that fourth floor, they could actually get a bit of a break and be themselves. So, of course, not even the novitiates, the junior nuns were allowed up there.
That's right.
Nobody was allowed up there. So, yeah, it's kind of neat that it was still blocking it. And I had that experience when I went to Hatley Castle, which we'll have to talk about on an episode and do a Hatley Castle episode because
that sounds like fun.
A pretty wild place. Like we said, have you had any experiences like that in St. Anne's? Do you know someone who lives in St. Joseph's Apartments? We would love to hear from you or hear from them. That'd be really cool. And also, if you have any other stories for us, we do, for our patrons, we do our off episode week. Yeah, we do our patron only show.
Send in those ghost stories.
Ghost stories we have heard on the go.
It's always fun.
It is fun. Yeah.
And we're looking to travel soon. We're on vacation upcoming. So
yeah, we're going to be going to Calgary.
Doing the Calgary thing and I'll do the photographs.
Yeah.
I'll be working remotely for the first 6 calendar days for the accounting.
Yeah.
So I imagine on the weekend we're going to be busting out the photos pretty in succession.
I think so.
And then I surprised Ian with a trip in the midst of the Calgary trip to Los Angeles.
Thank you, Hermos.
We'll be around LA to collect stories.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be in LA for 4 days. So
we'll be around looking up Yosemite, probably Death Valley.
I want to go to La Brea Tar Pits.
Oh.
In LA. I've never been.
Oh, yeah.
I've always
just
heard
tar
that's
in
cool.
the ground.
No, stop it. Don't ruin it for me.
It's just bubbling
No,
tar.
stop. I want to go.
Huh. No, but there's a lot of cool history in around there. I love Topanga. My heart is attached to Topanga.
Topanga Canyon. It is beautiful there.
It seems like Machosen here.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's so cool.
It's quite rural.
Miles away from everything. Love Santa Monica. Love Bel Air.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. No, it will be. And
we can go visit Marilyn Monroe again.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was a cool graveyard, Hollywood Forever.
Yeah.
That was really neat. I'd love to go back there. So yeah, if you are around in LA during that time, you want to meet up at Hollywood Forever, let us know. That would be a fun thing to do.
We're going to be there around the 9th to the 12th of August.
Yeah, so think about that. On the flip side, we have some great patrons who we are eternally grateful for. I know they're going to be getting stuff this month. I got the notification. 3 of our patrons are getting
more merch.
Some merch.
Everyone loves merch.
Everyone loves the merch. So they're getting things like the lovely T-shirts, the coffee mugs, the decals. So we're pretty excited about that for them. And we just want to thank everybody, the Bear admirers, the members of the Bear Appreciation Society, the Ghost Bear Acolyte of the Sacred Cave,
That's so fun.
the Pet the Bears group. We're just really thankful for all of you. And we are...
Ooh, and we're going to have a modern seance soon. So
we're going to have our monthly modern seance for our
we
patrons.
missed it the last couple of months. So
well, the last month.
Oh, yeah, that was the last month.
So we'll have to do that. And also, as a patron, you get pictures of all the places we've been talking about.
That's right.
In our episodes. So you might want to check that as well.
Fresh pictures to post on.
Fresh pictures. Got them here. Yeah, so you'll have to check those out as well.
Is that what it's called these days?
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Interwebs.
Get off my lawn. Yeah, I know.
Snapchat. I don't know. It's all sorts of whatever now. 500 pics. That's typically where I put my stuff.
Oh my goodness.
I think Flickr's dead?
I'm sure they're all dead. Imager? Is that still a thing?
Flickr? I don't know.
I can never keep up. No, you crazy kids and I remember
everything that's new.
What was the big one? Before TikTok, there was another one and it went dead. What was it? I don't know. Somebody will send me a message and tell me once they hear this. I know.
Who knows such things?
We are so grateful when you guys do reach out and chat with us. You can do that on Facebook. Just look for Ghosts and Bears podcast. You can do that on Instagram. You can email us, good old fashioned email, ghostsandbears@gmail.com. We're thrilled to hear from you. Send in your ghost stories. Let us know. Can we use them? Do you want your name changed? Do you care? And we would love to use them for our Ghost Stories We Have Heard episode. And honestly, if you've had a really cool experience and you want to share it and it's got some history behind it, hey, we'll come check it out. We'll drive to you and come and do that.
Our road trips.
Yeah. I got some great messages from one of our listeners talking about the place he's staying in Savannah, Georgia. And I would love to go there. He's staying in a super crazy old townhome in Savannah, Georgia, which is supposed to be the most haunted city in America.
That's interesting.
Trademark, copyright pending. So I would love to check that out as well. So yeah, we will have to see. Anyway, in the meantime, we want to thank our patrons, and they include Adam,
Bryce,
Sherry,
Brooks,
Marion,
Kathleen,
Alexa,
Debbie,
Jackie,
Charlotte,
Ruth,
Rebecca,
Mary Frances,
Cassie,
Gina and Victoria,
Sandy,
Christopher,
David,
Ashley,
Jeremiah,
Elizabeth,
BB Nix,
Melinda,
Jordan,
Tammy,
James,
Taya,
Evan,
Arwin,
Steve,
Kyle and Charlotte,
Catherine,
and Mari. Thank you so much.
Yes,
for all you do for us. And those super fun bills from Libsyn and all those people, they keep rolling in. So we sure appreciate your support because it lets us pay the bills. So thank you for that. If you have an idea for the show, we'd love to hear that too. We're always open to that kind of thing. You got some feedback for us? You like something? You hate something? Just tell us. If you don't want to do the patron thing, and I respect that. I mean, we'd love it if you would, but we also understand. Feel free to leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes. That is a big help. Also, like we actually do get to see those eventually. So please leave us those. It helps. It helps move the podcast kind of up the rank and gets us known. And also, never hurts to just recommend us. Just, hey, have you heard these weirdos? And that's a great way to get the podcast out there as well. So thank you everyone for all you've done for us, all you continue to do, for your continued kindness. Honestly, some days we're like, oh, is anyone even listening? Are we really doing this? But you know what? You guys, honestly, you make it worth it. You keep us going. And your messages and your emails and your direct messages, it does keep us going. And we're really, really grateful. So thank you for that. Got anything to add, my friend?
No, I think I'm a little bit tired. Even though it was quote unquote an extra long weekend because we took a vacation day prior to the long weekend.
It was also an
just
extra busy weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I want to go and sleep.
Yeah.
And I went straight back into hardcore working.
Yeah.
It's our quarter end close in accounting, which is, I don't want to bore you all. It's
I don't want to
busy.
be bored.
No.
All right, friends. Well, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed these stories about St. Anne's and our little guest storyteller, Brynne. She was so sweet to do that. So thank you, Brynne, for doing that.
Thank you, Chris, for helping me at the video.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's awesome. So until 2 more weeks, we will be back to chat with you then. For those of you who are patrons, we'll see you next week on our Ghost Stories We Have Heard. But otherwise, just remember the next time you're thinking about podcasts, wondering, I wonder if there's one that's a little bit different. Remember, we are the only podcast that gives you the actual ghost story.
With the actual history.
In the actual place. And hopefully one day soon, that place
will be with you.
Take care, friends.
Okay, bye-bye.